Thank you, Vice President-elect Edwards. Representative Merton.
Hi, just wanted to clarify, what was the status of Queens's position in ESCO prior to this year? Because I understand the OEC only membership was just this year from your presentation.
Oh, it's been OEC only member for a bit now, I believe. It's just like I was especially clarifying that this year because it's coming to an end, kind of like coming this year or next year, sorry.
It's
been OEC member only.
Okay, so thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for the question.
If there are any further questions or comments, that reaches the end of the speaker's queue. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds. Vice President-elect Edwards.
Yeah, sorry, just last thing. Could the budget be made available to council afterwards?
Yeah, I'll send the document that I have for ESCO conferences to council as soon as possible. I'll just send that document your guys' way.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the questions, guys.
Seems we have one more from Senator Matthews.
Oh, spoke to
Peter Matthews, Senior Senator. Not much of a question, but more of just a comment to make to council in general. I was on XCOM for a couple years, and as many issues and annoyances as we have with ESCO, if we're no longer going to be able to be an OEC member and council is going to have to make a decision about whether to be in or out, I personally recommend we be in, even though ESCO does annoy us at times, because I think we should be working as members of ESCO to resolve those issues. And I really don't think taking away opportunities like OEC from our students is a good idea.
Yeah, I think Senator Peter Matthews brings up a great point there. Like, I don't want to be too biased or anything, but obviously the advantage Queens has is we can do a lot of stuff ourselves, but at the same time, ESCO definitely does offer a lot of cool opportunities. And it would definitely be a loss to the students if we lost some of that stuff. At the same time, there's like a fiscal aspect to it though. So yeah, there's a few things to keep in mind, but yeah, great point.
Thank you, Senator Matthews. I see nothing left in the queue. So I just want to say thank you to Director Gunawardena and the External Communications Committee for all your hard work this year. And we will now move on to the EDII presentation. And I believe it will be Vice President Kosh Fitzgerald who will be kicking it off.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen and then we're going to go. I think we're going to do some full screen action. Oh, wait. No, I don't think you can see it. It's on my other monitor. So we'll just continue like this. But anyways, we're going to be presenting our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Accountability Report today. I don't know. So it's done and finalized, but I don't think it's been distributed amongst everyone. So that's okay. We'll be summarizing exactly what points we've tackled within this report. And then afterwards, this will be circulated amongst council and our membership. But as an introduction to what we'll be talking about today, this EDI accountability report really just serves as a follow-up to the summer EDI action plan that we released. And in general, we're just going to be talking about what was tackled, what wasn't tackled, and what we're going to be doing in the future. And in general, for the incoming team, it will be important to continue on these EDI efforts and be transparent with our actions throughout the year. So that's just something that I wanted to bring to light. But in general, what we're going to be talking about today are three main sections. So the first one will be the accountability and overview of the action plan specifically. The second one is going to be the initiatives that were completed this year. And then lastly, we'll be talking about the initiatives that were established and that will be continuing for future years. So we're actually starting with section 2 because we want to talk about what was actually completed first. So without further ado, we'll be talking about first the internal NSOC initiatives. So first of all, the implicit bias, power and privilege, inclusive environment, and living work START training were administered first to the ED team because we wanted to kind of see that in a test run And these were all pretty successful. I will say LivingWorks was a notable one. So this was to replace our assist training that we normally do for suicide prevention training. Due to COVID, we couldn't do that. So instead we did an online module version, and it was really successful. So continuing with that will be, I recommend moving forward, will be really important for the team. And then the last three, you can find them within the Human Rights Office training portal. So these were really well done, but I think in the future a recommendation would be developing them so that we have them as a society, and these are society trainings. The next point is the mandatory EDI hiring question. So if you guys, some of you attended a council in fall, we brought this to motion to council. So there's a hiring policy now that all upper management positions must be asked an EDI position pertaining to their roles. The next point is the Queen's NSB, or National Society of Black Engineers chapter. So this is a chapter that's now officially NSHOC ratified. And I just kind of wanted to bring to light the efforts that the NSB team and the hard work that they've done this year. It wouldn't have been possible without them, really. So I just want to say, especially to Genevieve, who led this team, we're very thankful for all their efforts. And the next point is the Gender and Engineering panel. So this was specifically targeted to real-time support for gender minority students. And it was pretty successful this year, and we'd love to see it continue for years to come. And then the next few points are points that were tackled specifically under directorships. So if Kaya wants to talk a little bit about the anti-oppression revamp, she can go ahead.
Yeah, so for the training this year, Craig has created NSHOC Academy, which is an online training portal that we've been using to administer trainings that usually happened at training conferences. So there's a lot of advantages to having it online, and we hope to continue working with that model next year. As for the anti-oppression training, myself and our other training officer, we worked with preliminary research provided by the equity team to revamp this hiring. It's gone pretty well so far, but we're hoping to get lots of feedback this semester in order to continue iterating on this and make sure that we have a training that's best serving our students.
Nice, thanks, Kaya. Alex, if you want to go over the next 2 points, go ahead.
Sure, yeah. So these next 2 points address accessibility in engineering. So as many of you know, I oversee the SDEV team, the Engineering Society Software Development team. And one of the teams decided to tackle the difficulty of colorblindness within engineering, specifically when working with resistors. It's a bigger problem than some people might think, because when you're in a lab and you don't have the ability to read resistors, you tend to blow up a lot of things. So they've been working together to develop a sort of machine vision model sort of thing, where you can just point your phone and it will identify the resistor. And it needs that machine vision because most phones don't have the resolution for just macro pictures of resistors in general. So they're developing, the project's going really well, and they just have to build the wrapper now. Apparently they've been making some seriously good progress, so I'm pretty happy about that, and hopefully we'll see something ready for the next year. And the other thing we've done this year is we've added accessibility tools to the Engineering Society website. They were kind of long overdue, but now there are quite a few nice tools that can be used, varying from those who are dyslexic. We have new fonts that are optional, and other sort of navigation tools that are very nice to have, and put us more in line with the WCOG or something, the World something accessibility standards that we should be implementing. I'm sorry, I don't have that acronym right in front of me. But yeah, we're pretty happy, and there's still some work to be done, but I think moving forward into the new year, we'll be applying a lot of these tools to our various groups associated with us on their websites as well, to hopefully have more accessible websites across the board. So
Thanks, Alex. That's awesome. And then Julia, do you want to talk about the panel on racism?
Yeah, absolutely. So the equity team ran a panel on racism and engineering on January 25th, and we focused a lot on racism and kind of the colonial perspective that's approached within our educations, and also some aspects of racism specific to engineering. And we also touched on triple bottom line analyses.
Nice. So moving on to structural and policy related initiatives. So this actually are points from Julia as well, so she can take it away with those.
Yeah, so we restructured the bursary committee. So it has a new chair, and we also introduced an appeals process to make the whole bursary process more transparent and just more accessible for students.
And
All
then, oh yeah, Andrew, you want to take it away?
Yes, ma'am. What's Crack-a-Lackin' Council? Yeah, so one of the other things that was done in correlation with Julia and her wonderful equity team was taken on by the advisory board, and that was taking an EDI analysis on the practices and culture created in Engineering Orientation Week. This started with a student survey, went with some extensive consultations with either faculty, other student leaders, as well as student leaders from across Canada. And we came up with a list of both feedback, recommendations, and an analysis of the responses that we received from the survey. That was delivered to FC. They were able to integrate a number of those changes, as well as taking a lot of really, really incredible steps independently. So I want to give a really huge shout out to FREC committee. And then we've also worked to develop practices that will, in correlation with equity team, the board, and FREC committee, put in processes for a continual review of student perception of orientation week, so that we can mitigate and remove as many of these barriers to accessibility as possible.
Fabulous. Okay, so we'll be talking about social media campaigns. So Varnika and Arham can talk a little bit more about their respective campaigns. But Varnika, do you want to start off?
Yeah, for sure. So under the Professional Development Committee, at the beginning of the year, we started the PD Focal Initiative. So the objective of this was to showcase some professional achievements and accomplishments of students and alumni who have done Queen's Engineering, specifically those who are representative of a BIPOC plus group. So we did see a lot of limited interest in this. We worked really closely with QBAS to design the nomination process and how we would approach students. But I think through the launch and seeing how it went, our team internally has discussed and come up with a lot of feedback points for how we want to adapt the initiative for next year. So while we didn't see too much come out of it for this year, we have some future plans for it, and we hope to see some real impact in terms of representing our students and alumni.
Thanks, Varnika. That's awesome. So Arham, do you want to talk a little bit about the EDI campaign?
Yes. Okay. So we did the EDI campaign on the NSOC socials, and the purpose of the campaign was to shine a spotlight and bring forth initiatives within NSOC, as well as just clubs within Queens who are supporting anything related to EDI. So we did NASB and Jaqueers Wise and others. So it was an interview format where the organizations explain what they did, and the campaign campaign supports the organizations by helping getting their name out, and hopefully getting more students interested in those organizations. So you could find the work we did for the campaign in the EDI campaign tab on the NSOC website.
Thanks, Arham. Awesome. And then lastly, we'll be talking about community outreach specifically. So actually this falls under Roche's portfolio. So Roche, take it away.
Sure thing, boss. So again, Black Lives Matter patches. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about this from me. But yeah, so we sold them through Queen's NSHOC to raise money towards the Queen's Wednesay chapter, the Black Business and Professional Association scholarships. So we sold upwards of 50 patches currently. So I think this initiative could be expanded towards different groups going forward, like the Indigenous community, and it can also just be continued in general. Just as a quick point on this also, something of note is that obviously when we initially launched this within ESCO, it sold like a lot, like hundreds of patches. And I think that's also a good point for ESCO, is that there's a lot of advocacy there and a lot of reach, which I think is interesting. So just like something I noted from the difference between selling it in-house and selling with ESCO. And then another thing I've been involved with is our Women in STEM outreach presentations. So we've been kind of calling into elementary and high schools and talking to the class about the importance of women in STEM and discussing like experiences with some of our like female members of the team and just going through what that's like. And I think that's been very good for the kids. I think they really appreciated it. And I think it's a good thing to continue moving forward and maybe even branch out. Yeah, that's everything for me.
Awesome. So thanks to everyone who contributed. The ED team worked really hard this year in order to, put forward some important EDI initiatives. So we're very thankful for all their hard work. The next section, we'll be talking a bit about the accountability and overview of the action plan. So specifically, we wanted to address the items that were not completed this year. So first of all, in terms of our short-term action items, the first one is a services training revamp. We said NA to this if it was completed because they weren't really operational this year, and these trainings do exist. However, in this means we wanted to be able to look at it and see the holes within the training, and we didn't get to that because it wasn't operational, which is fine. The next item was the ILC gender neutral washrooms. This is something that we really believe should be carried on in terms of discussions with the faculty. It's very important to do that, but this year because of COVID and we weren't in person and hence we're not in the ILC, we didn't have these conversations with the dean. But again, recommending that the incoming team actually bring this forward to the dean will be very important for us as a society to support everyone. In terms of medium-term action plans, so the first one that wasn't completed was the diversity and anti-racism talks under the first year portfolio. So it just didn't happen this year, unfortunately. Moving forward, of course, we really recommend that the incoming director first year carry on these talks because they are important issues that should be brought to light in first year specifically. But just carrying this on for future years will be important because it is a really great idea. Another one is the development of society donation policy. So this was looked into through the advisory board and myself and a few others. We kind of concluded, at least for this year specifically, we wanted to focus on using student fees and putting that towards initiatives that will benefit our students directly and give them growth and opportunities, and using that money, of course, to donate to special causes. So for example, the Terry Fox Run is an amazing example of this, where students have the ability to take part in the initiative, but also that money goes to the Terry Fox Foundation at the end of the day. And then the last action item that wasn't completed was the external EDI disclosure system. So frankly, this was kind of a unclear scope, and we decided instead that it would be repurposed thanks to Arham, Julia, and Alex McKinnon. So shout out to them, but they put it into the student resources page on the NSTOC website. So this is basically a page that has all resources you can imagine. So that includes like academic, mental health, financial, etc. But you can find them on the resource tab on the NSTOC website. And that was a big project. So congrats to them for completing that one. And then finally, we'll talk about the long-term action plans that weren't completed. So the first one we labeled as in progress because we have been having discussions about implementing EDI into engineering courses with faculty, but this is an ongoing discussion and it's something that over years it will be continuous. And we just wanted to note that this is not the end of it. We're still going to be working towards implementing EDI within classes and educating students in that regard, but that's why we put it to that status. And then the last one is the EDI specific embedded counselor. So we didn't get to that this year and we weren't able to advocate on this action item, but moving forward, it will be very important to do so. So this is something that the incoming team I know will be speaking on in the next section, but getting this done is actually very important for our students. So we recommend that this be completed for next year, and if not next year, the year after. So that is all for section 1. So now we'll be talking about section 3, and Kaya and Christina will take over. But in general, we'll be talking about the initiatives that were established this year and that will be carried on or plan to be carried on for future years.
Thank you, Alex. So the first one that we will hopefully tackle in our upcoming years, the external EDI disclosure system. So Alex summed up pretty well what that looked like this year so far, and we are hoping to include a forum of sorts similar to the engineering review board, where you can submit an anonymous grievance, and then they will get back to you, and like the proper measures will be taken. And so what this would look like for an EDI standpoint is on the resource page, you can submit a grievance, and then it would be anonymous, and we would have people who are properly trained in this situation to deal with the grievance. And we're also hoping to have how the grievances are typically handled outlined on that page for transparency as well. Then we have the donation policy, and so what this would look like more so is having the option to have a student-wide referendum of sorts, so that students can vote on if they want their fee to be donated, as well as the accessibility fund donation, which Kaya will get into momentarily. So this is just ensuring that student fees, which students pay, are going to students, and will also hopefully address some need in having policy that further supports initiatives like the Terry Fox Round in November, where student fees are going to these events so that the events are for the students, but they encourage students to donate themselves. Then we have the implementing of the Engineering Society EDI reports, and basically that's just ensuring that these action plans and annual reports hold the Engineering Society accountable and have sustainable changes that they make, and we continue to grow and foster an inclusive society. Then we want to expand the bursary committee to include EngLinks. We noticed that there is the EngLinks bursary program, but that's just for workshops. However, one-on-one tutoring sessions, if you have one of those a week for your entire semester, which is definitely necessary at some points, it can really add up. And so because those are just one-on-one tutorings and the transaction goes directly from the student to the tutor, there will be some policy that needs to be reworked, and we will need to adjust that. And so that will be investigated as well. And then the demographic assessment. This is just going to be our way of quantifying how much impact we have with our society and these initiatives. So what this may look like is having an additional page when applying for jobs on Dash, and just anonymously taking in your demographic information so that we can see if we're reaching minority groups, if they're involved, if they're engaged, and using that information to address that problem, because we do want all students to feel welcomed and encourage everyone to get involved.
All right, thank you, Christina. I will touch on the racism in engineering and the gender and engineering panels. So to ensure continued implementation of these events and growth of the initiatives, we're going to restructure their location over the summer under a specific directorship or club. So in addition, this looks like, having hired management or co-chairs. We just feel like this is the best way moving forward to make sure that this happens every year and that it becomes a recurring event. Okay, yes. So moving on, for the EDI specific counselor, one of our priorities is to push FES to hire a professional who's well-versed in the diverse challenges faced by our students, someone who'd be a designated resource for the entire counselor team. We will be working on a proposal this summer and continue to work with our director team and faculty throughout the year. As Alex mentioned, this is something that's really important now more than ever. A lot of students are having negative experiences and not being able to get the proper support. So that is definitely a priority for us. Yes, next, sorry, the endorsement policy. So we want to be able to better advocate for the needs of our students by working with other clubs and societies external to NSOC. This helps us present a unified student voice and advocate on behalf of not just NSOC, but NSOC, ComSoc, and these fellow clubs. It just really helps when we are representing our students in order to push the university as a whole, as well as our faculty, to make decisions that are equitable. So this summer, we will be drafting policy to support initiatives that are not run by NSOC. So that is incoming. Look out for that. Okay, next, as Christina mentioned, we have the Accessible Spaces Fund. So this summer, sorry, for context, this fund is devoted to resolving physical barriers and issues related to accessibility. So stuff like this could include, gender neutral washrooms, inaccessible spaces and design bays. So this summer we'll be investigating existing student fees and determine whether or not we might need an additional opt-out fee to be created. So that is something very exciting that is also happening. And lastly, for expanding the support for EDI clubs, we have currently director of clubs and conferences. We feel as though it makes the more sense to restructure because we really want to give our EDI clubs the opportunity to grow and reach more students. So this might be moving it under a different directorship, or they might be communicating directly with the executive. That is also something that will be looked at this summer, and something that we will definitely touch on in our summer reports, which are our summer plans, which are going to be coming to next council.
Yay! And that is it. Thanks, Kai and Christina. And thank you everyone for listening. That is about it for us. And we're happy to take any questions at all. I will stop sharing now.
Thank you, Vice President Kosh Fitzgerald, President-elect Bissell, and Vice President-elect Edwards, as well as to all of the directors and leadership members who were so incredibly involved in this initiative. We will now take any questions via the speakers queue. We'll just give it a second if anyone has any questions, comments, inquiries for the team.
And just to clarify, the entire report will be made available to council afterwards, so you guys can definitely have a look at that. And we encourage you to do so. This was more of a summary on some of the key notes, but there's a lot of good information in there, so go check it out.
And then if you have any questions, you can definitely email myself, Kaya, or Alex.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, seeing none, I think we're going to close that off. As was mentioned by the presenters, I encourage everyone to give that a read when it is made publicly available. And we will now move on to our rewritten motion number 3. Motion
information.
Yes.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. We have the executive oath first.
Oopsies, Andrew can't read. Alrighty, so as in bylaw, our executive are required to take their oath as they have been elected by the student population. So I think Thomas may pull up a written copy, but I think we're going to do this call and response style in true electoral fashion. So you can all repeat after me to the 3 executives. It's probably going to sound weird over Zoom, but we'll get her done. All right. With that, all right. So starting now, please repeat after me. Standing before the membership at this annual general meeting occurring on March 17th, 2021.
Standing before, do we go at once?
I'm going to shorten it. Y'all can go at once.
Okay.
Standing before the membership.
Standing before the membership
at this annual general meeting.
At this annual general meeting
occurring on March 17th, 2021.
Occurring this meeting, March 17th, 2021. Oh, do we have to stand?
Please stand.
Oh, God.
Hand over hearts optional.
Okay.
Well, they're about to name themselves anyway. I, please state your name.
I, please state your name.
Edwards.
I, Christina Bissell.
The incoming, please state your position.
The incoming
Vice President of Student Affairs.
Pledge to uphold the values, duties, and vision.
Pledge to uphold
the values, duties, and vision
of the Engineering Society of Queen's University.
Of the Engineering Society of Queen's University.
along with any other responsibilities
along with
any other responsibilities
as a member of the executive,
as a member of the executive,
as outlined in the Constitution,
as outlined in the Constitution,
bylaws, and policy manuals
bylaws and policy manuals
of the Engineering Society of Queen's University.
of the Engineering Society of Queen's University.
Congratulations to the executive on
Thank you.
their official acceptance of their positions. And I would like to thank the Peanut Gallery for a riveting Daddylicious commentary. Being said, we will now move on to motion 3. Whereas Andrew is old, you don't know the half of it, and it's time for him to retire. And whereas Zaid is even older and has already retired. Be it resolved that blank be elected as Speaker and Chief Electoral Officer of the Engineering Society, moved by Andrew, Zaid, and I, never got a gavel, De Silva, seconded by Thomas, but you could get one, right? Do either of the movers have an opening?
Yes. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. Andrew, do you want to kick us off? I can also give an opening. Okay.
I assume you're talking about the other Andrew.
Andrew De Silva. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. This motion is to elect a Speaker and Chief Electoral Officer for the coming term. This individual will preside as Speaker of Council, doing what Andrew Vassala is doing right now, as well as the Chief Electoral Officer on the elections team. So we will open up nominations or self-nominations in the speaker's queue for anyone who is interested.
I nominate Andrew Vassala.
I'm not going to ask for a second because unfortunately I am graduating, though I appreciate your consideration.
I nominate Nick Neoclaus.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Also, please use the
Second.
speaker's queue. But so that is nominated by Christina Bissell, President-elect Christina Bissell, seconded by Vice President-elect Christina Edwards.
Christina Edwards?
Oh,
Nailed it.
Do I just say I accept?
That'll suffice. Do we have any further nominations? Alrighty, just going to give that an extra few seconds. I won't say I'm not heard a little bit. Alrighty, so member Nick Neoclaus has accepted their nomination. We will entertain 3 questions. I will ask if either of the movers have one to start. And then should there be any further, we will entertain an open question.
I have a question.
Let's start with the movers.
just-
If either of them have it. Just please use the,
Oh, movers, sorry.
let's
Not,
use the second column for anyone who is not a mover.
All right, Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. As the Chief Electoral Officer, you are the final say on discipline regarding violations of campaign rules during the campaign and nomination period. What strategy would you take towards discipline of candidates and upholding the rules of the election process? Just a heads up, you have 30 seconds for your response.
Okay, that's a really great question. I think the best thing to do there is just make sure I've reviewed policy. I know what all the rules are and that I stick to it. No making exceptions, no, going back on words. As long as I hold everyone accountable to the same standards, I think that's the safest way to make sure we have a fair election. And yeah, that's really it. And I would work with my team and the exec and anyone else who's involved in the process. So I will cut it there. I'll keep it concise.
Thank you, member Neoclaus. Do we have any further questions? Otherwise, I can toss one in there.
Yeah, why don't you go for it, Andrew?
Seeing none. Obviously, the second portion of your role as speaker would be to conduct council meetings. How would you work to promote engagement and enthusiasm about council, whether it may be in a virtual or in-person environment for your tenure?
Great question. I think part of it would be, and this might sound a little campy, some of the energy I bring. This green screen isn't for show. I do some online acting gigs, so I'm hoping I can bring some engagement just through my own personality. But on top of that, making sure council runs smoothly, making sure it's a good use of everyone's time and runs meaningfully. And so what that looks like to me is making sure, rules and procedures are being followed and we're having meaningful discussion. So bring my own engagement and then also make sure it's productive for everyone.
Thank you, Member. I'm not sure if someone's unmuted, but since we have no further questions and this is simply a vote of confidence, I think, Thomas, I can't remember what the position would be for Nick to either go into a breakout room or otherwise.
Point of information, Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. So I am going to move General Member Neo close to the waiting room, and he'll be added back once the decision has been made by council. Let me just navigate to your name here.
Bye, Jano. Bye, everyone.
Oh, I can't find your name. That's strange. Oh, here it is. Perfect. Alrighty.
Alrighty. We will now entertain a vote of confidence for Member Neoclaus to assume the role of Speaker and Chief Electoral Officer for the 2021-2022 academic year. You may know.
Point of order. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I forgot to edit the nominees' names in for this. So the options are X and Y. The top option X will be a vote of confidence. The top option Y will, or the bottom option Y will be a vote of non-confidence. My apologies.
All right. X is yes, Y is no. All right. Vote of confirmation accepted. We can now bring in Member Neoclaus. I believe Speaker Neoclaus is here. We can all.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Speaker and CEO-elect Neoclaus on your new position. I'm sure Director De Silva or Wright will be in touch in the coming days.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, very much.
In that case, we'll now move back to the motion. And in that case, be it resolved that Nick Neoclaus be elected as the Speaker and Chief Electoral Officer of the Engineering Society, moved by Andrew De Silva, seconded by Thomas Wright. You may now vote. Motion passes. So congratulations to Speaker-elect Neoclaus. Moving on to motion number 4. Whereas the Constitution reflects the values of the Engineering Society and its members, and whereas Engineering Society members value the environment and its well-being, be it resolved the Council approve the changes to Article 4 of the Engineering Society Constitution as seen in Appendix Save the World, literally. Moved by Andrew, I am the Lorax, Andreas, pardon me. I am the Lorax, Haramis. Seconded by Julia, I speak for the trees, Newcomb. Do either of the movers have an opening?
Yeah, I can open. My name's Andreas Haramis. I'm the environmental equity rep for the equity team. And this year I founded the sustainability committee with the director of social issues, Julia Newcomb. So as the name kind of suggests, the committee was made to advocate for environmentally sustainable action in NSOC. And so so that's what we do. And then we as a committee have had we've had our fair share of struggles this year, but the biggest by far was that we were starting from scratch on any work that we were doing. And so it kind of seemed like there was very minimal work done previously to make NSOC more environmentally sustainable. And if there was, it was almost like there was a lack of awareness or visibility about it. We couldn't really find much aside from the tea room and Quest and a couple other things. So speaking for myself, but I'm sure like many of you would agree, as one of the most visible student groups on campus, like I don't think we can afford to fall behind on one of the most relevant and I guess pressing global topics. And I don't know, just kind of to back me up, in January, when we surveyed the student population, we had an overwhelming response in favor of adding a line to the Constitution regarding sustainability. And we really think that this kind of this sentiment within the student population should be reflected in our governing documents, and that our Constitution should be the cornerstone for kind of our future sustainable endeavors. So to really drive my point home, I'm going to do what's called an APS-C 200 pro gamer move and quote Engineers Canada. And I looked this up earlier. So engineers, under their professional code of ethics, need to be involved in addressing the impacts of changing climate. And so that's what they have to say about that. And that's also what I have to say about that. So I guess I rest my case or whatever.
Thank you, Member Haramis. We will now entertain any debate on the motion. As a reminder, this is motion 4. We'll get started with Senator Matthews.
Hello, Peter Matthews, Senior Senator. I think I like this idea a lot. I have one comment, and it is extremely minor. However, at the top of the Constitution, it lists when all the amendments were made, and there's actually an error because the Constitution was most recently amended March 21st, 2019 at that year's AGM, and that is missing from the Constitution. So this isn't even related to your motion, but I just noticed that error and figured I should point it out.
Member Haramis, would that amendment be seen as friendly? Or would that be administrative, Thomas? Director Wright. Director Wright, I don't know if it's just me, but I can't hear you.
Sorry,
Yes.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I have a mute function on my keyboard that I always forget about. This is administrative to me, so the way I see it, we can just add these without the formality of an amendment. Could Senator Matthews repeat the date that it was amended before today?
I believe it was March 21, 2019.
Matthews, Senior Senator, yes, it was March 21st, 2019.
Thank you, Senator Matthews. Is there any further debate or questions on the motion? Alrighty, seeing none, be it resolved that Council approve the changes to Article 4 of the Engineering Society Constitution as seen in Appendix Save the World Literally, moved by Andreas Haramis, seconded by Julia Newcomb. You may now vote.
Sorry.
You may now vote. And that is a slam dunk of a motion passes. Thank you to Member Haramis and Director Newcomb for your contributions. And with that being said, we will now move on to motion 5. Whereas there are many design teams in NSOC, and whereas some of them aren't listed in bylaw, be it resolved that Council approve the changes to bylaw section 10.h as seen in Appendix Teams of NSOC bylaw. Moved by Liam, this list is also wrong. Murray, seconded by Alex. Let's fix that list too. Kosh Vitsialis. Do either of the movers have an opening? And a reminder, this is the second reading of this change.
Yeah, Liam Murray, director design. Yeah, so whenever they show the list, it's just changing the list to be the correct teams that we have ratified under NSOC right now. So yeah, this is the second reading, but the list was outdated, so I just wanted to update it to make sure that we recognize everyone that works under us.
Thank you, Director Murray. We will now entertain any debate on the motion 5. Seeing none, do either of the movers have a closing? I'm gonna take that to be a no. In that case, be it resolved that council approve the changes to bylaw section 10.h as seen in appendix teams of NSOC bylaw, moved by Liam Murray, seconded by Alex Kosh-Fitsialis. You may now vote. Motion passes. Moving on to motion 6, whereas the position of the Director of Internal Processes is still evolving, and whereas the Director of Internal Processes needs help, be it resolved the council approve the changes to bylaw section 8 B.14 in its second reading as seen in appendix help needed to introduce a team under the Director of Internal Processes, moved by Evan Yeet Yeet Ray, seconded by Ben Group 8 Frost. Do either of the movers have an opening?
Yes, Evan Ray, Site 22 AMS rep and incoming Director of Internal Processes. So this is just the second reading, as we did 2 weeks ago, just to implement a team, the Automation and Process Development team under my portfolio, to do just that, to work with NSOC groups and automate some processes to make everybody's lives a lot easier.
Thank you, incoming Director Ray. We will now entertain any debate on the motion. That is motion 6. Seeing none, do either of our movers have a closing?
I do not.
Suppose I don't need that Frosh emancipation lawyer anymore. In that case, be it resolved that council approve the changes to bylaw section 8, bylaw 8 section B14 in its second reading as seen in appendix help needed to introduce a team under the Director of Internal Processes, moved by Evan Ray, seconded by Ben Frost. You may now vote. Motion passes. Moving on to motion number 7, whereas NSOC's stance on exec senator candidate endorsement isn't well defined in bylaw, and whereas we should ensure our affiliated groups remain neutral during the general election to ensure an equitable process. Be it resolved that council approve the changes to bylaw 3, Engineering Society elections as seen in appendix heart full of neutrality. Moved by Thomas, all I know is my gut says maybe, right? Seconded by Andrew, I have no strong feelings one way or the other, Vassila. Do either of the movers have an opening?
Yes, Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. So what I would like to accomplish with this policy, or bylaw rather, is establishing a clear stance on how the Engineering Society handles endorsements in elections. I have amended the appendix since, from the one that has been sent out, and I'll go over each change that I've made in the interim so that nobody gets left in the dust. I see it as friendly as well, so we don't have to get into debate or anything like that. With the help of the general manager, we've sort of created a preamble here that says what was once said down here, that this is in the interest of ensuring a fair and democratic process by restricting the influence of those with privileged authority or influence. So this list already existed with a couple of these members, which includes members of the executive, senators, members of the elections committee, and members of the ERB. We have added the chair of the advisory board, directors, service head managers and assistant managers, formal convener and chairs, as well as orientation chair and chief rec to this list. This, in the version that sent out, this was FREC committee, but we amended it because we thought that was a little restrictive, especially on first years. Our next clause just establishes that all individuals who hold a hired or appointed position within the engineering society not listed in the above are still prohibited from using their role to campaign or endorse any candidate. And as well, we established that any group is prohibited from using their image, positions within their group, their title, etc., to campaign or endorse candidates. And finally, this was once the ERB in this clause here. I changed it to the Chief Electoral Officer because they handle all other elections rules violations, and I figure this should be no different. But we have a clause down here stating that if the elections committee is involved in the grievance in any way, the grievance goes to the engineering review board. That being said, I am willing to entertain any questions, comments, or concerns.
Well, Director Wright, I am now willing to entertain any questions, comments, or concerns on motion number 7. And I see first and foremost, we have our Vice President-elect, Kaya Edwards.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the importance of this in terms of everyone. It makes things a lot clearer for our elections committee when it comes to making decisions related to infractions, as well as it alleviates a certain stress involved for our members who are campaigning. So I think overall this is what needs to be here. Obviously, if you have any thoughts, this is the time to share them, but I just thought I would reiterate the importance of this for all parties and helping to make it a more democratic and less stressful experience.
Thank you, Vice President-elect Edwards. I think somebody is unmuted who probably should be muted for their own sake. And we will, do we have any further questions or comments pertaining to the motion? Seeing none, do either of the movers have a closing?
No.
Outstanding. In that case, be it resolved that council approve the changes to bylaw 3, engineering society elections, as seen in appendix Heart Full of Neutrality, moved by Thomas Wright, seconded by Andrew Vassila. You may now vote. And motion passes. Ooh, we did that one already. Oh, this is another one. Moving on to motion 8. Whereas the advisory board of the Engineering Society needs new members, and whereas the annual general meeting is the time to elect those members, and whereas the advisory board nominating committee has completed its review of the candidates, be it resolved that blank, 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 and last but not least, blank, be elected as one-year members of the advisory board of the Engineering Society. Moved by Andrew, I advise you to run. Vassila, seconded by Tayo, you won't be bored. Odiemi. Do either of the movers have an opening? Yes, funny enough. Andrew Vassila, chair of the Engineering Society Advisory Board. So, for those of you who are unaware, the Engineering Society Advisory Board oversees the services, corporate initiatives, and long-term strategic planning for the Engineering Society. These individuals had the opportunity to run and be screened by the nominating committee, which was put into place last year. And as such, the only individuals who may be nominated by a representative of the committee. I'm going to ask Ben Zarickny to do as such, unless he would prefer I do so. Vice President Zarickny, you there?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I was just going to ask that you please nominate our candidates, given that I probably shouldn't do so.
Okay.
We'll just go after it.
Okay. Vice President of Operations, Ben Zarickny. I nominate Liam Huff, Julia Newcomb, Sama Ibrahim, and Noah Wyman for all one-year terms on the advisory board.
Second.
Thank you very much. we will now entertain TBD. We will now entertain simply two questions, the first of which will come from myself, and the second of which will come from a member of council, which can be submitted via the speaker's queue. Again, this is motion number 8. So I would like to ask the candidates to please tell us what interested you in the advisory board, and what is a key change that you would like to see the board tackle in the coming year. I'm going to give you 1 minute to answer the question. And as in the order that Vice President Zarickny presented, we will start with Liam Huff. We will then go to Julia Newcomb. Following that, we will have Salma Ibrahim and then Noah Wyman. I can give you a little 10-second warning when we reach that point. Member Huff, if you're ready, we'll take things away.
Perfect. Thank you, Andrew. So yeah, basically for the advisory board, what really interested me is, just learning about the strategic planning of the Engineering Society through previous roles, such as, Director of Professional Development, as well as externally, I've been on internship for the past year. So being able to see an actual kind of corporation run and work in kind of industry was able to kind of broaden my view and help me, learn more about that, especially project management and product management. A change that I'd like to kind of see is, building a more kind of adaptable plan. I think we've all seen it in the past year with the adaptation with COVID. So being able to create a plan that can help us in the future with regards to, hybrid modeling for, Tea Room or Clark, maybe we're not really sure what's going to be happening in fall. So being able to create a plan that is really sustainable there and adaptable is really important. And even just using this change of going in person or hybrid to really make some meaningful changes that we've been looking to do, for the benefit of the society.
Thank you, Member Huff. We will now move on to Director Newcomb. Same question. Please let me know if you'd like me to repeat it.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What interested you in joining the Engineering Society Advisory Board, and what is one change that you would like the board to address for the coming academic year?
Okay, great. So obviously I'm pretty passionate about equity and EDII, and so I'd really like to help the incoming executive with their EDI strategic plan over the summer and throughout the year. One specific change I would like to see is related to accessibility and services. So looking at ways we can make the services more physically accessible and also financially accessible. So investigating how much money is going to bursaries and looking into whether that amount is appropriate and should we be funding bursaries to a greater extent. I'd really like to be on board just because it'd be a great good opportunity for personal growth for me to learn about business and strategic planning. And I would really like to have an impact on EDII, continue to have an impact on EDII in the Engineering Society.
Thank you, Director Newcomb. Director Ibrahim, same question.
Hi, so I've been part of the NSOC finance team for the past 2 years. So I've had a lot of experience with the financial aspect of NSOC, and I really wanted to extend that experience to the NSOC services and learning how all of that works, especially strategic planning. One thing I would like the board to take a look at next year more is the financial analysis aspect of the services, and not just strategic planning, but also, is the strategic planning actually working? Are our finances sustainable, and are we in a good position to continue having the services run in the way they are? And if not, how can we fix that? So yeah.
Thank you, Director Ibrahim. And Vice President Wyman, same question.
Hi, so what first interested me in getting involved in the advisory board, I'm really interested in sort of big picture problem solving and figuring out how to use the resources we have to improve what we do. And in terms of SOC, the thing that I would like to do most going forward with the advisory board is make sure that the resources we have are more transparent to all of our NSOC members, people who have not historically been involved in council. I think we can really improve the way that people can engage with NSOC and with the services we already offer. I think there are a lot of people who just don't know exactly what we do, and that means that the resources we have are not taken advantage of the way they should be. So I would really like to improve visibility for everything we offer to help the resources we have go as far as they possibly can.
Thank you, Vice President Wyman. I am just checking to see if we have any further questions under motion 8 again, and I do not see any. And so since this is simply a confirmation of the screening processes, which we have already undertaken, I believe that we can move on directly to the vote. So I would ask Director Wright to please move our 4 candidates: Vice President Wyman, Director Newcomb, Director Ibrahim, and Director Emeritus Huff into the waiting room.
Sorry, just bear with me here, everybody.
With you, I'd wait all night, Thomas.
Okay, one.
I fully just almost accidentally brought them back into the meeting. Try not to do so. Eeny, meeny, miny. Bye, Noah.
Okay, the candidates are in the waiting room. Point of order. No, information. Point of information. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. Since this is a vote of confidence on 4 candidates, everybody gets 4 votes, so you can select either all 4 or whichever of the 4 that you have confidence in.
Alrighty, you may now vote. This is the most overwhelming poll I have ever seen. In that case, motion still passes, or no, elections are successful. We will now bring in our candidates and we can do some clapping.
Just like real council.
That's my boy, Evan. I would like to congratulate the 4 nominated members, all of whom have been successfully confirmed to their advisory board positions for the year to come on a 1-year term. I will be in touch with you all likely this evening to get you up to date and invited to our meeting actually this weekend. In that case, be it resolved that Julia Newcomb, Liam Huff, Noah Wyman, and Salma Ibrahim be elected as 1-year members of the Advisory Board of the Engineering Society, moved by Andrew Vassila, seconded by Tayo Odiemi. You may now vote. Motion passes. Congratulations again to the candidates. I look forward to working with and transitioning all of you. And I'm very sad to be leaving. Moving on to motion 9, whereas the alumni and faculty members of the Advisory Board of the Engineering Society are to be annually nominated by the executive. That's in quotes due to quoting policy or bylaw. And be it resolved that David Strong and John Carlson are elected as faculty representatives for the Advisory Board of the Engineering Society for a 1-year term. And be it resolved that Richard Ward and Robert Lablands are elected as alumni representatives for the Advisory Board of the Engineering Society for a 1-year term, moved by Andrew Skatefast Vassila, seconded by Tayo, wrong kind of board, Odiemi. Do either of the movers have an opening? Yes, Andrew Vassila, Advisory Board Chair. This is effectively, again, something that is done by the by the board chair in consultation with the incoming or outgoing executive. These are the members of the board for the faculty and alumni positions whom have held their roles for the past several years, all of whom provide invaluable experience and expertise on different topics. And at this point, they have all been selected to resume their terms for the year to come. That's all we got. Thank you, Board Chair Vassila. We will now entertain any debate on the motion in motion 9 in the speaker's queue. Seeing none, we will do either of the movers have a closing. Andrew Vassila, Advisory Board Chair, no closing. Hope that you will all consider continuing these individuals' terms due to their commitment and influence historically. Thank you, Board Chair Vassila. In that case, be it resolved that David Strong and John Carlson are elected as faculty representatives for the Advisory Board of the Engineering Society for a one-year term. Oh, pardon me. There's no, okay. For a one-year term, be it resolved that Richard Ward and Robert Lablans are elected as alumni representatives for the Advisory Board of the Engineering Society for a one-year term. Moved by Andrew Vassila, seconded by Tayo Odiemi. You may now vote. Or not.
Sorry, Andrew, you're not seeing the poll? I've got it up.
I'm not, but I believe you.
Okay,
you can just give me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Motion passes, apparently. Oh, there we go. Moving on to motion 10, whereas it's good to own land, and whereas the Engineering Society and Research Center Kingston allows us to hold it, be it resolved that the Queen's Engineering Society and its members recognize that Christina Bissell, Kaya Edwards, and Benjamin Frost will sit on the Engineering Society and Research Center Kingston Board of Directors as of May 1st, 2021. Moved by Christina B. Bissell, seconded by Kaya Land Edwards, thirded by Benjamin before time Frost. Do any of our movers have an opening?
I do. I just want to say that this land
Name and position.
is Christina Bissell, incoming president. This land is typically held by each executive, like the entire executive for every year. And so this motion just passes over that title from the current executive to me, Kaya, and Ben. And since we have been sworn in, so thank you for that as well.
Thank you, President-elect Bissell. Do we have any debate on the motion? This is motion 10 in the speaker's queue. Seeing none, do any of the movers, pardon me, have a closing?
No.
In that case, fantabulous. Be it resolved that the Queen's Engineering Society and its members recognize that Christina Bissell, Kaya Edwards, and Benjamin Frost will sit on the Engineering Society and Research Center Kingston Board of Directors as of May 1st, 2021. Moved by Christina Bissell, seconded by Kaya Edwards, and thirded by Benjamin Frost. You may now vote.
Point of information. As Andrew mentioned at the start, this land is not really ours. It was built on a society of colonialism. So I think it's important that we acknowledge that and that, yeah.
Thank you, Kaya, for that correction. My apologies.
Thank you, Vice President-elect Edwards, for those strong and well-informed words. The motion does pass. Alrighty, might need to take a deep breath and a drink of water for this bad boy. Motion 11. Whereas Christina, Ben, and Kaya are so excited to have a team, and whereas, here's that team, Be it resolved that the following be ratified by the annual general meeting for their respective positions. I'm not going to do this in one breath. Alan Liu, Director of First Year, Jen Kovanich, Director of Design, Ella McGurk, Director of Communications, Allison Wong, Director of Human Resources, Andrew De Silva, Director of Governance, Adam Fell, Director of Clubs and Conferences, Aiden Shimizu, Director of External Relations, Jeevan Salvaraja, Director of Social Issues, Alexa Hadley, Director of Academics, Marissa Matthews, Director of Professional Development, Michael Butler, Director of Finance, Delana Vo, Director of Services, Evan Ray, Director of Internal Processes, and Zach Donovan, Director of Information Technology. Moved by Christina, 2021 Team Bissell. Seconded by Ben, is less than or worse than Frost. Thirded by Kaya, 2021-2022 Team Edwards. Do any of our movers have an opening?
Yes, we do have an opening. Major shout out to our incoming team. They're really passionate and they've worked tirelessly since being hired. So we're all really excited to work with them next year, and we can't wait for them to be hopefully officially ratified.
Thank you, Vice President-elect Edwards. We will now entertain any questions for, as Thomas said, we'll now open up the floor for any questions for our incoming team. And as was alluded to, all of these questions should be addressed to the entire team. And should not be exclusive to one specific director. And so please motion 11 in the speaker's queue, and I can jump in with one if no one else has one. Ooh. Director Thomas Wright.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I would like to know from each member of the incoming director team, what drew you to apply for your role?
I think we'll go in order of names on the list as of right now, just for administrative purposes. So Director, non-ratified Director Liu.
I guess that's time for me to speak. So mainly what drew me to the first year position was that I think it's a really important position within NSTOC, helping first years transition into a really difficult and changing environment, university environment, and giving them the resources that they need to succeed, as well as promoting just a lot of cool traditions that Queens offers, and promoting involvement and engagement within the society, whether and also navigating the either online first year or in-person environment. And I guess since brevity is the soul of wit, apparently, I will keep this short.
Point of order, Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. I'll remind the incoming team to state their name and position before speaking for the sake of our secretary.
Moving on to Director Unratified Kovanich.
Jen Kovanich, Director of Design. So what drew me to the position of Director of Design is that I'm actually on a design team member as a member of QSAT last year and this year as well. And I really wanted to help improve the relationship between NSTOC and the design teams, as well as improving engagement within design teams.
Thank you, incoming Director Kovanich. Moving on to incoming Director McGurk.
Hi, Ella McGurk, incoming Director of Communications. What drew me to being incoming Director of Communications? I've been on the communications team for 2 years. I love it, obviously. It's a great group of people, and I wanted to be a part of that again. And obviously, marketing communication is really important. We need to connect with our student body, and yeah, just want to keep that going.
Moving on to incoming Director Allison Wong.
Allison Wong, incoming Director of Human Resources. I was drawn to this role because Kaya Edwards, incoming Vice President of Student Affairs, told me to apply for it, and I did. But less pedantically, this role is something totally new for me in terms of things in terms of my past experience. and my first major involvement with the Engineering Society. And so I'm really excited to figure out how the operations happen and just help make the Engineering Society more accessible and transparent and inclusive for the general student body through my role as Human Resources.
Thank you, incoming Director Wong. We'll now move on to incoming Director De Silva.
Hello, everyone. Andrew De Silva, incoming Director of Governance. What drew me to this role was that I wanted to enjoy a new experience, as well as I wanted to meet a bunch of new people. I also do enjoy seeing the inner workings of NSOC, and I wanted to get to experience that more, as well as learn a bit more about NSOC policy.
Thank you, incoming Director De Silva. Incoming Director Fell, take us away.
Adam Fell, incoming Director of Clubs and Conferences. As someone who's always been super passionate about being involved in the Engineering Society in as many ways as I can, it's something that I've involvement in extracurricular, just something that I've always valued a lot. And it's something that in a position like this that I believe I can continue to grow and make sure that everyone is aware as possible about how valuable roles like these are and how valuable getting involved in meeting new people can be.
Thank you very much, incoming Director Fell. Moving on to incoming Director Shimizu.
Hi, Aiden Shimizu, incoming Director of External Relations. I was honestly really drawn to this director position just because of all the awesome events that are under it. So it's Movember, Terry Fox Run, Fix and Clean, Outreach Team. It's all just exactly what I want to do with the Engineering Society, and using that, this platform to do good with that. So that was definitely what really drew me to the position, and working as the Fix and Clean coordinator under my amazing Upper Roche this year. I decided that I had, wanted to do what he does and live up to those things. And, I think it's just an awesome position. That's all.
Some very kind words from Director Shimizu. Moving on to incoming Dosi with the Mosiest, incoming Director Salvaraja.
Hello, Jeevan Savaraja, incoming Director of Social Issues. So what drew me to this position was I'm very passionate about equity, diversity, inclusivity, and indigeneity within anything and supporting our community. And I think it's very important to build a community that is inclusive, supportive, and representative and safe for all members within the Engineering Society. So I applied because I wanted to help make sure that this was possible, so that every member, whether you're BIPOC, whether you're part of the LGBTQ+ community, whether you're an international student, whether you're, anyone in this community, as long as if you're part of this community, you feel represented, happy, safe, and included, that's what I want to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, incoming Director Salvaraja. Moving on to incoming Director Hadley.
Hi, I'm Alexa Hadley, incoming Director of Academics. What motivated me to apply for this position is that I was really involved in academics in the past and want to keep benefiting the student body. Also, I'm really passionate about improving engineering education and ultimately just want to promote advocacy in any way that I can.
Thank you very much, incoming Director Hadley. Incoming Director Matthews, please take us through some development in the professional sense.
Thank you. So Marissa Matthews, incoming Director of Professional Development. I wanted to apply for the role of Director of Professional Development because, one, I really love the PD team. I've been on the PD team for 3 years so far at university. And I think that career services at Queens is one area that's a bit of a weakness that could be improved a lot. And I think I have the skills to make it a lot better for our students. So I wanted this role to be able to do that.
Thank you, incoming Director Matthews, and incoming Director Michael Butler from Down Under. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're enjoying council so far. I think the main thing that drew me to this position is kind of twofold. The first one is, I think, as with any involvement experience here at the Engineering Society, it's a really good opportunity for personal growth, and I think that's something that everybody can thrive in. And secondly, in more bigger picture, I think it's a really wonderful opportunity to contribute to the student body that has already made me feel so welcomed. I think something that's really important for all of us as an ED team is extending that to everybody else. So I think for those two reasons, those are what really drew me into these positions. So Thank you.
Thank you, incoming Director Butler. And moving on to incoming Director Vo.
I'm Delina Vo, incoming Director of Services. First and foremost, I wanted to become Director of Services because I love to meet new people. I'm also very passionate about improving student life, particularly EDI and also student experience. And I feel like the services are an integral part to Queen's life and especially engineering life in general. So I felt that that was a good place to start.
Thank you very much, incoming Director Vo. And moving on to incoming Dad Ray.
Evan Ray, Site 22 AMS rep and incoming Director of Internal Processes. So what motivated me to apply for this role was sort of the impact that I could make within this role. A lot of the directors spend months of their time transitioning into and out of the role, and so they have very little time to spend actually making an impact within the engineering society. And I think through my role in automating processes within their portfolios, I can give them back more and more time to make more impactful changes to the engineering society. So through my role, I'm making impacts to their directorships, which make impacts to the entire engineering society.
Thank you, incoming Director Ray. And last but most certainly not least, the man who keeps the lights on at night, incoming Director Donovan, or the computers at least.
Oh, yeah, that's my turn to speak. Zach Donovan, incoming Director of IT. I had a lot of fun working with Alex on his team. Showed me a lot, and I'd really love to kind of keep that cycle going and fill in his shoes and, you know, help the incoming team with what he showed me.
Fantastic. And that concludes our questions there. Oh boy. We're only going to take one more, and I'm going to give her to Director McKinnon. And so please take us away.
Perfect. So as some of you may know, I've taken on a few too many directorships in my time at NSOC. So I'm going to ask a rather important question. As things get busy next year, how will you ensure you keep your sanity, reduce your burnout, and ensure you maintain a proper balance in your lives?
Thank you, Director McKinnon. And just to make things funky fresh, we're going to take these in reverse order. Uno reverse. Moving into it real quick with incoming Director Donovan.
Oh, man. Incoming Director of IT, Zach Donovan. To reduce burnout, I think just kind of getting ahead so I have that flexibility to kind of do what I want, have some fun, eat some food, drink some tea, that kind of stuff. Just, you know, have a good time.
Thank you, incoming Director Donovan. Moving on to incoming Director Ray.
Evan Ray, Site 22 AMS rep and incoming Director of Internal Processes. So I'd sort of get ahead of that by planning the year, making sure I have ample time for myself around midterm season and exam season. But even in addition to that is taking a step back every so often, once a month, once a week, sort of reevaluating where you are, and also doing that within the team as well, checking in on everyone else on the director team and making sure they're doing well and that you can help them if they need anything.
Thank you, Daddy Ray. Moving on to incoming Director Vo.
Delina Vo, incoming Director of Services. To reduce burnout, I guess I would treat it kind of like a mod 1 assignment, not in the full Gantt chart sense, but probably staying ahead and like setting deadlines for myself and kind of relying on my team.
Thank you, incoming Director Vo. Incoming Director Butler.
Mike Butler, incoming Director of Finance. I think the big thing for me, and I think for a lot of leaders, is really relying on your team. I think every leader knows that there's only so much they can do on their own. And so really being able to delegate and work together and work through people is something that really helps with burnout and being able to achieve just anything that we want to do. That, and also remembering that we're all people first. We're people, then students, then these positions. And so having that set of priorities, I think, is really important, especially when it comes to taking time for yourself and not letting the position get too far ahead of you.
Thank you, incoming Kangaroo Butler. Moving on to incoming Director Matthews.
Marissa Matthews, incoming Director of Professional Development. Anyone who knows me knows I love being really organized about everything and planning everything out. So that should be not a problem at all to be prepared and stay on top of things. I'm also lucky that I have very few courses left to take next year, so I have the time to spend and have a lot of extra work, and I'll make sure to use that extra time to help support other directors who might be a bit busier.
Thank you, incoming Director Matthews. Incoming Director Hadley.
I think it's really important to be able to communicate with my peers. There's a wicked team surrounding all of us, and taking advantage of that is definitely going to help. Also, planning ahead always is going to alleviate some stress. And if I'm ever really stuck, just reaching out to my upper.
Thank you, Director Hadley. Words of wisdom. Moving on to incoming Director Salvaraja.
Salvaraja, I almost mispronounced the name, incoming Director of Social Issues. I think just definitely just getting ahead of the game early on, crafting a really strong plan for the year and following it through. If I am struggling, definitely reaching out to my upper for assistance or anyone. But yeah, as they say in Malaysia, jangan panik, which means don't panic.
That's awesome. Thank you, Director Salvaraja. Moving on to incoming Director Shimizu.
Aiden Shimizu, incoming Director of External Relations. I think it's just going to be a matter of making a calendar and putting my whole life on it and sticking to it. Other than that, getting outside, exercising, participating in my own events, because a lot of them are super feel-good events like Terry Fox Run November, that kind of stuff. So, just treating it like a side gig that's like really fun. So I'm really excited for it. That's all.
Thank you, incoming Director Shimizu. Moving on to incoming Director Fell.
Adam Fell, incoming Director of Clubs and Conferences. First of all, I think positions like these help bring balance to my life in the first place. Gives me a little bit of time away from school, which can be much needed. But I think planning ahead, like you've heard from many others, as well as utilizing my team in every way that I can, and just making sure that I always find some time to make for myself.
Thank you, incoming Director Fell. Incoming Director De Silva.
Andrew De Silva, incoming Director of Governance. I'd say that the biggest thing for me is planning ahead and managing my time, as well as not afraid to ask questions or ask for help from my other teammates, and also to put away some time for myself as well.
Thank you, incoming Director De Silva. Incoming Director Wong.
Allison Wong, incoming Director of Human Resources. Anybody who knows me knows that I like taking on a lot of stuff. So this question is particularly difficult to answer, but I've already started this process by saying no to applying to a handful of positions for the following year, given the time commitment of a directorship. So basically just lightening up my commitments from previous years and really focusing on making the most out of this position and then keeping track of everything in my calendars and making the most out of Outlook.
Thank you very much, incoming Director Wong. Incoming Director McGurk.
Ella McGurk, incoming Director of Communications. It's going to be important just to stay on top of my game, by a real agenda and not rely on a lot of sticky notes on my desk anymore. And, there's a team for a reason. It's important to delegate and help each other out.
Thank you, incoming Director McGurk. Incoming Director Kovanich.
Jen Kovanich, incoming Director of Design. I guess just staying organized and plan ahead, and of course taking time to myself and ask for help if I need it from my amazing team.
Thank you, incoming Director Kovanich. And last but most certainly not least, the lover of first years, incoming Director Alan Liu.
Yep, Alan Liu, incoming Director of First Year, and of course, having a really good game plan ahead of the semester, just managing things well, relying on my team, doing small things for my mental health, and always talking and meeting with the Frosh.
Thank you very much, incoming Director Liu. And literally only because it's asked every single year, Gino Lee is going to have a question and you are all going to have like 10 seconds to answer it. And I wish one name, one reason. Vice President Emeritus Lee.
Hi everyone, General again. I was so upset that this question didn't get asked the year before because of COVID, and this question is obviously a joke, but maybe not for some of you. I have no idea. So please answer the following. Which one of the current ED team could you take in a fight? You have your 10 seconds.
I'm gonna go top to bottom again for simplicity. Incoming Director Lou. Name and reason.
Do I have to still state my name and position?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just go random. Kaya.
Guys, of the current ED team, but I suppose we'll stick with what we got. Starting some beef already. Actually, we will stick with name and position just for the sake of our secretary. Sorry, Alair.
It will be a Pokemon battle and I will win.
Incoming Director Kovanich.
Jen Kovanich, incoming director of design. So of the current ED team, it would definitely have to be Julia Newcomb. She is the one who pushed me into applying for a directorship in the first place. And this is, I owe it all to her. So love you, Julia.
Taking down the Dosey. Incoming Director McGurk.
Hi, Ella McGurk, incoming director of communications. I've got to choose Arham. I'm sorry.
Some scrappy communications like a paper shredder in the communications portfolio. Moving on to incoming Director Wong.
Allison Wong, incoming director of human resources. Craig, only because he's the only person I know on the current ED team, and B, he's got a broken arm. Sorry, man.
I think that's discrimination, but I guess we'll go with it. Incoming Director De Silva, take us away.
Andrew Silva, incoming director of governance. I'd say Thomas Wright because I haven't seen him in person, so I'm judging he's like 5'2" off the screen, off the Zoom screen.
Director De Silva, I think you may have Director Newcomb and Director Wright confused in your head. But with that being said, Director Fell, who would you like to be getting into a back alley fight club with?
Adam Fell, incoming director of clubs and conferences. I think definitely I would take Brian pretty easily. I've already fully replaced him. And so I don't think beating him in a fight would be that much more work.
Can't wait for these transition meetings. Next up, we're going to have Director Shimizu, who may or may not be scrapping their upper as well.
Aiden Shimizu, Director of External Relations. I was thinking of my upper, but I don't know. He's looking really big in that muscle shirt today, and I feel like that beard might cut me. So honestly, I'll just be non-violent this time.
All right, Director Shimizu cops out as a result of as a result of Director Salvaraja's intimidating boxing videos on Instagram stories. Director Hadley, who are you going to be taking on?
Alexa Hadley, incoming director of academics, and definitely Nick because he's already washed up.
With a mustache like that, what can't he do? Moving on to incoming Director Matthews.
Marissa Matthews, incoming director of professional development. I'm going to go for our VPSA Alex because I think she's too nice and she would let me win.
Oh, incoming director Butler.
I was gonna say Craig as well. I think I'm still gonna go with that. I was gonna give some answer about our houses, but I think Allison just gave a way better answer. I can't top that one. That was good. So Craig, catch these hands.
Director Thunder from Down Under, thank you for your commentary. Moving on to incoming Director Vo.
Delina Vo, incoming director of services. I feel like I could probably take on Rain solely because I know where he lives. So I could just turn on the oven, just kind of leave it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd like to offer my sincerest apologies. These blind eyes literally do need glasses. And I would like to move back to incoming Director Salvaraja, who can fight me in addition to his chosen candidate.
Oh, it's me. Oh, Jeevan Savaraja, incoming director of social issues. I'm gonna be weird and say I could probably take on Spencer Lee. You know, he's not great at Call of Duty, so I could probably take him on. You know, so yeah.
Director Salvaraja, ready to fight in all environments. I'm sorry, I believe moving on to Director Vo. I apologize, I can't remember if we made it past there or not.
Yeah, I went, but I think Evan can go.
So in that case, moving on to incoming Director Evan Ray.
Evan Ray, incoming director of internal processes. I would definitely have to go with my my fellow senior water teammate Nick Arnott. But I would stipulate that it would have to take place in the pit as we did not get the opportunity to perform our roles in the pit.
Thank you, incoming Daddy Ray. I've seen him in the socks off pit and with the mini dozers. I like his odds. And last but again, most certainly not least, Director Donovan.
Zach Donovan, incoming director of IT. I think I'd have to pick Alex, my upper, because he's in IT. So there's a stereotype that he can't fight. So sorry.
Thank you to the incoming director team. I promise that's all I'm going to put you through. I'd like to say that I hope if you have a transition dinner that you bring some gym mats and can have the chance to put these to action. But with that being said, I will entertain no further debate on the motion for all of our sanities. And do either of our movers have a closing? Any of our movers have a closing?
No closing. Thank you.
Meeny, meeny, miny, no. With that being said, be it resolved that the following be ratified pending Fight Club by the annual general meeting for their respective positions. Alan Liu, Director of First Year, Jen Kovanich, Director of Design, Ella McGurk, Director of Communications, Allison Wong, Director of Human Resources, Andrew De Silva, Director of Governance, Adam Fell, Director of Clubs and Conferences, Aiden Shimizu, Director of External Relations, Jeevan Salvaraja, Director of Social Issues, Alexa Hadley, Director of Academics, Marissa Matthews, Director of Professional Development, Michael Butler, Director of Finances, Delena Voda, Director of Services, Evan Ray, Director of Internal Processes, Zach Donovan, Director of Information Technologies, moved by Christina Bissell, seconded by Benjamin Frost, and thirded by Kaya Edwards. Whew!
Wow.
You may now vote. Should hear me on the rapid versus
Speaker Vassal,
motion
passes.
passes.
See, there was okay.
I got you. Catching my breath, buddy boy. That was a lot. And with that being said, that concludes our new business, and we will now have our executive reports from the Spin Master himself, President Spencer Lee.
Spencer. Whee! Oh my God. Lee, NSOC president. I feel like I'm going to like choke. Like I'm gonna like just with this wire. I don't know. I don't think they understood that I had a wire when they made that. Anyways, not honestly too much. Pretty busy with school. So Quessy AGM just happened. Pretty good stuff. Faculty board also just happened. And then my regular occurrence meetings, which are actually a lot, as you'll see in Director McKinnon's report. I do actually have a lot of meetings. Like there's a quantitative value to that. Next couple weeks, I guess I have a fight lined up, and then more statics, I guess. But yeah, other than that, if you have any questions for me, let me know.
Thank you to the Turbo Twister himself, President Lee. Moving on to our Vice President of Operations, Mr. Benjamin Zarickney.
I'm Zarickney, Vice President of Operations. So yeah, I'll try to keep this short. Mostly just the same old things, a lot of meetings and payments and stuff. This week, tomorrow morning, I'm doing finance training for Science Quest and O Week. This weekend I did advisory board hiring with Andrew, which is great. And then renewed our contract with CU, which is just our advertisement company for like the primer and stuff. And also looking into e-transfer access for the Director of Finance to put e-transfers up on VMO, just so that myself and the President could approve those, kind of like signing a check. And then over the next 2 weeks, just continuing work on the review engagement, probably going to continue into next year. So yeah, Ben and Michael are going to have to deal with that, sorry. And then just meetings and wrapping things up and continuing with transition. And that's it for my report.
Thank you to Vice President Zarickney for keeping us operational and for keeping me from getting ERB'd last weekend. Moving on to our Vice President of Student Affairs, Ms. Kosh-Fitsialis.
Vice President of Student Affairs, Alex Kosh-Fitsialis. So hello everyone, since you've last seen me, I got some bubble tea, so I'm pretty happy with that. But in terms of what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, we've been doing some things with our mentors in the Gender and Eng panel, and we also held our International Women's Day movie night. So that was really fun. We watched Knock Down the House. Also holding February Discipline Club and Year Executive Roundtables. I think I mentioned that on my last one, but just put it there, I guess. And then attended AMS assembly and dean's meetings. Worked with Thomas on NSHOC Awards. So I just want to say that he did an amazing job. And I know I've told him sometimes now, but I just wanted to make a shout out to Thomas. Also working with Christina and Kaya to launch the International Women's Day series. That was really fun. I hope they had fun too. And then also just normal things like director statics, but probably the most prominent one is organizing the EDI accountability report. So I just want to say thank you again to everyone who contributed, and special thanks, as you can see here, to Andrew Vasila, Kaya, and Christina, because they helped so much. It was great. And then the things I'll be doing over the next 2 weeks, feeling old and washed up, very sad, but the portfolio is in good hands, so I'm okay with it. And we're going to do some finalizing in terms of transitioning with Kaya, and continuing to meet with directors and finishing up some projects for the end of the year and transitioning them over to her portfolio for next year. And that's about it.
Thank you to Vice President Kosh Fitsialis for ensuring that all of my affairs remain studentous rather than illicitous. Moving on to our fantabulous directors, starting with our Director of Academics, Mr. Nick Arnott.
Nick Arnott, Director of Academics. Hello. Yep, cool. In academics recently, things have been fairly quiet, or at least business as usual. The services have been just doing their thing. Engineering's wrapped up the last of their midterm workshops and tutorials for their up-year portfolio. First year stuff is still running with all of their evaluations. And icons are just, keeping buildings open, doing the things that we love. So huge shout outs to both of those teams for being fantastic, as well as their new teams for being hired. The Bed Fund has taken all of your wonderful approvals from last council and sent that off to the faculty for the final approvals that they need, so that over the next coming weeks we can get purchases sent out to department managers and things can actually be bought, so that next year's education can be just that much better than it was this year. So thank you again for that last council. In terms of advocacy, things have been fairly quiet. I've been a little busy with schoolwork as well as things are wrapping up. So mainly just putting the wrapping and bows on some projects and that kind of stuff, as well as Alexa has been busy hiring her incoming teams. So if you're looking for involvement opportunities next year, check out her postings. Fairly similar for the next couple weeks, wrapping things up, transitioning Alexa a little more, making sure that things don't crash and burn and die. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Have a great rest of your night.
To crash and burn and die, or not to crash and burn and die? That is the question. Thank you, Director Arnott. Moving on to our Director of Communications and Instagram icon herself, Director Arham Chowdhury.
Okay, Arham Chowdhury, Director of Communications. The things that I've been doing over the past 2 weeks, so lots of graphic requests because of hiring season. Oh, and oh my gosh, the all engines have been taking forever. Those are 2 things that have been very time consuming. And then other than that, continuing ComTeam's online presence with my FIPCO. So we put up like meet the ComTeam posts, which are nice. And people like recognition. I'm just reading what I wrote, but I just don't know how else better to say it. But it hopefully will serve as an incentive to be part of the communications team in the future, because it puts some faces to our name, and like maybe people will want to join if they know that you can be famous, And then also ComTeam's working on some other in-house projects, and these are more social media initiatives. So we did Engineers in the Natural Habitats, that's already out. We did Hobby Share, that one's gonna keep going, and then we're now working on Quirks of Kingston. Also transitioning Ella, and then things I'll be doing in the next 2 weeks is continuing to transition Ella. I wrote update finance portion of website for Sama, but I already did that now. and then continue working with my team and with my FIPCO on all the projects and stuff. That's all.
Thank you, Director Chowdhury, for all your hard work. I'll even forgive the mean messages you sent me in Zoom recently. Moving on to our Director of Clubs and Conferences, Mr. Brian Co.
Hi, Brian Co, Director of Clubs and Conferences. As Adam has kindly noted, there is literally nothing that I've been doing in this portfolio. It is literally up to Adam, and I thought it wouldn't be representative for me to send in a report because I haven't really done anything. It's all Adam's show. So yeah, there's a washing machine in the background for me to say that I'm old and washed up.
Alrighty, thank you to a squeaky clean Brian Co. Washy, washy, washy. Moving on to our Director of Design, Mr. Liam Murray.
Liam Murray, Director of Design. So yeah, it's obviously transitioning stuff, mainly what I've been doing. We had the design team showcase a couple weeks ago and it went pretty well. And yeah, so next year the design teams have to do the room allocation stuff. So we've kind of talked to Jen a bit about that, working on policy for that to make sure everyone knows like what it's supposed to be. Yeah, so next couple weeks we have the roundtable. We may have it in April instead of March, but I'm kind of leaving that up to Jen. Yeah, policy stuff, I already talked about that. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Director Murray. I hope that design bay is designed sufficiently. Next up, we have the man with many relationships who are extremely external, Director Gunawardena.
Thank you. So, hey everybody, Director of External Relations, John Gunawardena. So things I've been doing the last 2 weeks, I attended CFC, so the Conference on Sustainability Engineering. Is really cool. David Suzuki was there. Cool to pick his brain. He had a very cool speech. So I finished up my report on external communication. You guys kind of saw that presentation. Completed the Women in STEM presentation with my outreach team. We're going to continue that going forward, I believe. Took some more BLM patch orders. And we're developing a local Kingston charity showcase. Should be on the go in the next bit. So things I'll be doing over the next 2 weeks, take part in another Crafting for a Cure event. I think that's taking place on Monday, and possibly volunteer and assisting the Almost Home organization in their Vogue charity fashion show. That just really depends on if it's safe or not. Organize and market the charity showcase, again, what I mentioned before, and statics with my lower. Oh, and CESS conference, I believe, is going to be happening soon. So yeah, that's everything.
Thank you, Director Gunawardena. If your relations will be external, please protect your chicken. Moving on to Director of Finance, Salma Ibrahim.
Hello, Salma Ibrahim, Director of Finance. Pretty much same old, statics, month ends, meetings, emails, all that good. And I reviewed and approved some group budgets. Why are people still sending me group budgets at the end of the year? I don't know, but I'm reviewing them and approving them. We're almost caught up on month ends, which is great. Deposited some group checks going into the office once a week to do that. So that's done for the groups and they have their money. Updated the finance page on the NSOC website with the operational budgets thanks to Arham. So if you're curious, you can go all the way back to 2010. I don't know why you would want to do that, but we have that up there. And transitioning Michael, that's been going great. He's going to be hiring his finance officer soon, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, Michael's going to be doing the next month end, so like March, which is exciting. I don't have to do that, so yay. And then just like tying up loose ends, just cleaning up, making sure things are good to go for him to be transitioned smoothly. But yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Director Ibrahim. Glad to hear people are getting their transfers because NSOC has my rent for the month of April. Moving on to the Director of First Year, Director Rain Tiesler.
Yeah, Rain Tiesler, Director of First Year. So I am still doing things. I just, sorry, Andrew, I missed the deadline again. So sorry. There's a couple of blunders that I've made that I would like to address really quickly. I want to apologize to Thomas and the first years. I was asked to get their emails for to add them to the mailing list, and my life got busy, and unfortunately, they were not added to the mailing list. They're here, but I would like to apologize for any hardness. I don't know if that's the right word. Any blunders that I have made have affected them. So I just wanted to say that. But other than that, what I've been doing over the past 2 weeks, transitioning Alan, he's great. He's looking to, he's raring to go, and I'm really excited to see what he does. I've already heard some things that he's pushing forward, and makes me very excited. Doing a lot of advertisements for first years. We got the first year Discord in pretty good shape. Now it will automate what year you're in, so that's good. And also planning a couple more events as like exam breaks for the first years for in the last couple of weeks. And then over these next 2 weeks, just same old, more transitioning. We're gonna actually do some of the events that we've been planning, and then also planning a alternative to a final slam, because obviously that can't happen in person, and we want everyone to be safe, but slamming is fun, so we still want it to happen. So yeah, congratulations to the official 2021-2022 ED team. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Director Teasler. Your positivity makes me feel like you're a director of fourth year as much as you are a director of first year. Lots of love. Moving on to the Director of Governance, Mr. Thomas Wright himself.
Hey, NSHOC. Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. So what I've been doing for the past month, I watched Awards Committee crush it last weekend. We've got a couple of members in our presence right now, so shout out to Alex, Evan, Kate, Julia, David, Ali. I believe that's everybody who is in our presence right now. Everybody did a great job. We handed out all but one award, which was designated for a mature graduating student, and we usually have trouble finding nominees for that. I helped Andrew plan this very meeting and watched him crush it as well. This agenda is entirely courtesy of my lovely lower Andrew De Silva, and you'll see more of his great work in the coming council. And we also did some consulting with year execs and discipline clubs regarding elections for next year's crowd. So over the next 2 weeks, like I said, I'll be fully handing the council reins to Andrew for our last meeting, facilitating those year exec and discipline club elections, and just general wrap-up stuff for the governance portfolio. So I'll thank everybody present for coming to the first online AGM. I think it's gone quite well, and here's hoping it never happens again. So for the second last time, long may a big jib draw.
Thank you, Director Wright. My smaller than average jib is doing its best, and I'm disappointed to hear that I am no longer the most important Andrew in the governance portfolio. Moving on to a director who resources many humans himself, Director Craig Maslin.
Hi, everyone. Craig Maslin, Director of Human Resources. Currently sitting on the floor in my parents' basement, which is really fun. I do have an update to give really quickly. Been pretty busy, I guess, in the HR portfolio. Obviously, the hiring rush is in full swing, and I'm happy to assist with any questions you might have. You just shoot me an email if you need. We finished our feedback form, which we ran over the last couple weeks, and now we're gonna work on issuing that feedback and making sure it gets into the right hands and get some use out of it. In general, mostly been transitioning Allison and keeping up with the hiring rush. Allison is helping take some of the emails out of my inbox and into her inbox. And I say it's good practice, but it's also really nice because I have half the emails now. But yeah, going forward, just keeping up with the hiring rush, continuing the transition, trying to do some like educating on hiring within the engineering society, ensure that all of our policies are followed and that as many people know about them as possible. And yeah, just getting towards the end of the semester, honestly. So yeah, congrats to the new ED team also. And thank you.
Thank you, Director Maslin, for your kind words and beautiful cast. Moving on to the Director of IT, Mr. Alex McKinnon.
Hello, hello. Alex McKinnon, Director of IT. So yeah, also congrats to the new team. We're going to do amazing. But yeah, so I forgot to add one thing in this report. Golden Words has had a bit of an IT meltdown. So we are addressing that this week, and that should be mostly done by the end of the month, which is nice. Also, IT statistics were not supposed to be under the next 2 weeks. They're supposed to be what we have completed. So as we scroll down, we will be, I'll just point out 1 or 2 fun numbers and you can take a look at it yourself later. But other than that, we've had a pretty good run this year for IT, and I'm excited to see what my replacement's going to be doing. So yeah, if you scroll down, there's a few stats I'd like to show everyone. First of which I'm very proud of. We've had 0 security breaches since my team has overhauled our infrastructure. So pretty excited about that. And the uptime has been fantastic. You can see which websites have performed well. And I also pulled a bunch of numbers from Zoom. Mind you, a lot of the team and within NGSOC, people have been using their Queen's Zoom accounts as well. So these numbers may not accurately reflect everyone's meetings. However, looks like Thomas is king of Zoom for minutes, I guess. Spencer is king of number of meetings. And I felt bad, but Andrew Vasla is number 6 in minutes. Didn't quite make it, but you know, what can you do? Just a little preview of what you all fund directors will get to do next year. Here is a little bit of fun hourly statistics of what your labor is going to be looking like if you are as committed as I was this year. You'll probably get a few less emails unless you're HR or something. Number of councils are pretty static, but these numbers do not include in-person commitments because we haven't had any of those. So I wish you all luck and Godspeed.
Thank you, Director McKinnon. I appreciate the shout out, particularly since unlike the top 5, I don't even get a sweater sponsored. Big sad. Moving up next to our Director of Internal Processes, Director Allison Wong.
Allison Wong, Director of Internal Processes. So I forgot to submit a report, but not too much has been happening. So in the past 2 weeks, I've been organizing and planning NSOC banquet and just transitioning my amazing lower Evan. And in the next 2 weeks, I'll be wrapping up NSOC banquet. So make sure to attend. We have some pretty cool prizes. And finishing my transition process with Evan. And congrats to the incoming ED team.
Thank you, Director Wong. I only wish I could spend these hollowed hours with Evan at this point. Moving on to the Director of Professional Development, Director Varnika Gupta.
Spencer. Goodness. Lee, NSOC President. Varnika has a midterm tomorrow, so she is studying for that. Yeah, I mean, it's all there. If you want to read it, go ahead. Reach out to her if you have any questions, or you could also reach out to Marissa, incoming. So reach out to either of them. But yeah.
Thank you, President Lee, for your lovely summary. Moving on to our Director of Services, Director Andrew Kerneman.
Ben Zarikny, Vice President of Operations. I guess Kerneman's not here. So yeah, not too much to update on. CEO, they're doing their St. Patty's Day sale, and they're also doing a second round of jacket orders, which is good. Science Quest is just preparing for the summer months, and all the services are working on transition at the moment. And that's it.
Thank you, Vice President Zarikny, and thank you, Director Kerneman, for your services. And last, but most certainly not least, Director Julia Newcomb.
Hello, everyone. Nothing huge from my end, usual meetings, transition manuals. Sustainability committee will be presenting at the next council about what they've been working on this year. I went to the conference on sustainable engineering with Roche. It was in French, which was pretty cool. We've been presenting accessibility training to various groups within the engineering society. So we are doing service managers and then assistant managers in the next coming weeks, which is exciting. Wrapping up loose ends in terms of projects. Equity team positions are up and they close on the 19th, so you still have time to apply. And then I think I forgot to include it, but big win. Menstrual products are take one, leave one in Mitchell. I know, it's pretty exciting. But they are on the second floor bathrooms, right next to where the icons have space open to study. And then also in the family bathroom on the first floor that is kind of like by that glass enclosed garden. So it's like past Starbucks kind of. I don't know how to describe it, but there's like study seating area. Anyway, you can check those out, but that is also very exciting. And that's everything that I have.
En français, merci beaucoup, Daddy Newcomb. Moving on from our ED question period. Moving on to our ED question period. In that speaker's queue. Questions, comments, queries, grievances, desires to emit Fight Club? Seeing none, we will now move on to the faculty board report.
Hi, everyone. We just had our faculty board meeting today, actually. So I guess some good news to start things off. The dean actually did say that, Miranda Bungard, fourth year faculty board rep. Sorry about that, Thomas. Anyways, starting off with some good news. Some unofficial, but I guess it falls in line with what they've been, the faculty, or I guess the school as a whole, has been reporting. The dean is hoping for in-class lectures, labs, tutorials, and all that. Of course, we can only see how things develop, but at least he's hoping for it, and hopefully it will happen. And when it comes to design teams and other sort of groups like that, they're still looking into that. But I guess we'll update when it comes and all that. Also, I guess for the first years, they suspect there might not be a full, I guess, occupancy in the residences and all that. It doesn't at the very start. They expect, I guess, as it gets along, perhaps that will increase. But once again, more information to come as we figure things out. I guess another thing that may affect many people actually is they are proposing a something called a credit standing, I believe. Let's pull this up here. Yeah, a credit standing grade, which essentially it's used in circumstances where a student has acquired a passing grade, and if they've completed all their assessments within a course, but their grade, of course, has been impacted by significant and debilitating, extenuating circumstances. So in place of their letter grade, it gets replaced with a credit standing or CR grade, and that doesn't count to their GPA. And it says in the thing here, must have typically obtained a grade between D- and C. So at least, in light of the circumstances surrounding COVID, at least there might be some positivity there. And yeah, this is falling online, by the way, with the Department of Arts and Sciences as well. I believe that's already something they have, so it's not anything new to the Queen's School. And that can be up to maximum of 18 units, but those are the big things we talked about.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thanks for pointing that out, Nick. Actually, yeah, of course you have to, you do have to get, of course, permissions from it, and you have to apply for it. It's not a automatic process, and currently it is non-reversible, I believe, as well. It's time to think about it.
We cool?
Discord. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, Representative Bungard. I'm never faculty bored when speaking with you. Moving on to a report from our Alma Mater Society representatives. I know many of you are forced to go.
Evan Ray, Site 22 AMS rep. We haven't had an AMS assembly recently. I believe the next one is either next week or the following week, and it is AMS assembly AGM. So you're all welcome to come. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you, incoming Director Ray, for that enticing offer. Moving on to a Senate report from one of our two engineering senators.
Peter Matthews, Senior Senator, nothing to report.
Big sad. Moving on to the Engineering Review Board report. I don't believe they're here. More big sad. Moving on to the Advisory Board report. Andrew Vassila, Chairman of the Advisory Board, among other things. This weekend, we nominated and selected our lovely incoming Advisory Board members. Looking forward to working with you all. We have a meeting this Saturday where we will focus on the updates to Engineering Orientation Week and the circumstances under which it appears to be operational at this point, as well as doing a longer-term thematic analysis of some of the Engineering Society EDI themes which have been approached this year. Looking forward to working with our new team of members, and that's all you got from me. Thank you, Advisory Board Chair Vassila. Very informative and always a pleasure to speak with you. Now we'll be moving on to our club reports, starting with, all of them, starting with mechanical, after which we will say gears.
Mechanical.
Years.
So I'm Como J2 Mech Sorry, we're looking to have an event next week with the faculty, and we're doing last minute merch orders with quarter zips and sweats. And we're also waiting to hear back from the head of department about an academic forum later. That's all. Thank you. Happy St. Pat's.
Thank you very much, Representative J2, I believe. Apologies if that was incorrect. Moving on to our ECE representative, after whom we will say zap. ECE.
Zap?
Zap.
Come on, y'all are the biggest faculty. There's got to be someone.
I guess I can technically fill in because I'm also on ECE exec. Nick Burton, Site 22 faculty board rep. Not really much to report from ECE, just general normal stuff going on with the department. Trying to resolve issues with remote delivery that keep popping up, but I feel like that's pretty normal across the board. That's all.
Thank you very much, Representative Merton, for taking on so much in so little time. Moving on to our EngFizz rep, after which we will say nerds.
EngFizz.
Nerds. Nerds.
Nick Arnott, EngFizz student. We got merch. That was kind of dope. I don't think anything else has been going on. Oh, there was a games with profs last week. Yeah.
Thank you, Director/Student Arnott. Moving on to mining, after which we will say shafts.
Mining.
Shafts.
It's Monica's birthday, so she's probably not here. We got merch. I bought a hat. I'm really excited to get it. Besides that, everything seems to be going pretty smoothly.
Wonderful. Next up, we have the Apple group, after which we will also say nerds.
Apple.
Nerds.
Nerds.
All right, David Hoskin, Apple Math president. So the big thing we just finished up was distributing quarter zips. That went really well. One of the things we're working on is planning a tech elective night for the second and third year students, where they can kind of hear about the technical elective process and which courses upper U students really enjoyed, which ones they didn't enjoy, just so they can make informed decisions future years. And the last thing we're working on is elections. So if you have any friends in Apple Math, definitely encourage them to run. It's a great time.
Thank you, President Hoskin. Unfortunately, the faculty doesn't let me near incoming Apple Math students for some reason or another. Next up, we have civil, after which we will say beams.
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 Beans.
Lily Gilbo, civil rep. We've been spending most of our time just planning the civil banquet, which will be happening virtually in a few weeks. We've been working on getting like awards and prizes and pretty much just trying to make up for our canceled banquet last year. And that's about it.
Thank you very much, Representative Gilbo. And not last but least, we have our Chem Eng Chem representative, after whom we will say fumes.
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 Chem Eng Chem.
Vice President of Student Affairs, Alex Kosh-Vitsialos. I can probably give an update from the roundtable that we had, if no one else is here to step in. But basically, they had a big merch order come in recently. Pretty normal compared to all the other discipline clubs. I feel like everyone's been doing merch. Also, they had a trivia night, which is pretty cool. So they had a Kahoot. And then they also are, I think they're working on the feedback survey right now, or they've already distributed it. But like either way, they're doing a feedback survey, which is pretty cool. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, Vice President / not at all a Chem Eng Chem student, Kosh-Vitsialos. And last but most certainly not least, we have our geological rep, after which we will say dirt.
Rachel Burns, GeoEng president. We also did merch. We did we're doing a merch order for sweaters and t-shirts and stuff. We got stickers, which was fun. We did a paint night over Zoom, which was a lot of fun. And we actually did do our elections already because we do it simultaneously with the Arts Eye. So ASIS wanted it early. So we elected the new president, which is a lot of fun. And that's about it.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our club reports. And now we will move on to our year reports, starting with Sci to Wonderwall.
Sci
2, 1.
Old.
Kate Lappin, president of Sci 21. This has been probably the busiest 2 weeks for us, I would say, because we just had everything fall into the same time period. So within these 2 weeks, we had all of our merch and yearbook chatter up, go up and off. So we got that done in a week, and it actually turned out pretty good, which is, we had really good turnout, which is great. And then immediately following that, we now have our Iron Ring ceremony after party advertisements for registration going up, because that is this Sunday. So we have planned it's still virtual, but it's tradition for your exec to host like an after party. So we're decided to do it over Discord because the whole day is ceremonies on Zoom, which is really boring. So we're trying to make it as interactive as possible. So everyone in Sci 21, or if you're graduating Sci 20 or on internship, please tell your friends to register so that we can have it as interactive as possible. And there's a lot of money that we have left in our bank account, so we have lots of prizes. And yeah, and then after that, we'll be having our thank you poll going up at the end of the month, which is the gift that fourth years give back to the students. So we're gonna get everyone's opinion on that. And finally, transition documents will be we'll be starting to work on those soon. And that's it.
Thank you, President Lappin. I currently have access to way too much student money, so if I'm across the world and not at next council, you'll know you're not getting any sweaters. Next up, we'll be moving on to Sci chugga 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 toot toot.
Sci
2.
Frosh. Julia Takamoto, Sci22 president. Recently, we have been selling more of our masks. They are still up on the CEO website if you want to get one. The trivia night that we were planning with Commerce unfortunately got canceled. They didn't respond to our emails.
which kind of sucks. And so now we're just preparing for the upcoming year exec elections, and we are starting to write our transition documents. That's everything. Happy St. Pat's.
Thank you, President Takamoto. Big Sad, Alexa play Despacito. Moving on to Psy, No One Likes You When You're 23.
David Fliss, Psi 2-3 president. So recently we met on Sunday. Me and Miss Noah Wyman chatted with our team about planning a little escape room event for week 12 for the year. And hopefully, I know it's kind of late in the year, but hopefully adding some masks to our Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Was that a me problem or?
No.
Cool. Thank you,
Yeah.
President Fliss.
Wait, did I cut out?
Just a tad.
Like the whole thing? Did you hear anything?
Nope.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll restart. So we met on Sunday. Me and Noah met with our year exec on Sunday. We were planning on getting an escape room done for week 12. So that's what we're working towards. And we were thinking of getting some masks in our catalog of merch added. And then, just moving towards the election season. So happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you very much for round 2 Electric Boogaloo, President Fliss. Moving on, last and most absolutely certainly least, Psy 2-4.
Ali Bhit, Psy 2-4 president. So over the past 2 weeks, we've been working on some financials to try to finish up the merch that we were selling and to give out some prizes for the events that we had. And for the next 2 weeks, we're just going to be finishing that up and be deciding on our year motto and that stuff. So other than that, nothing much is going on. Slow month. So happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
Thank you very much, President Bakit. And now at this point, we will take any statements and questions by members. Wow, literally before we're about to break quorum, so please no one leave. Director Wright.
Thomas Wright, Director of Governance. First of all, like Andrew said, nobody leave. We're almost done. We need 50 for quorum. Also, that was the last time that Psi 24 will ever go without a council nickname. They've been good sports. They've taken their first year on council in stride, despite the fact that it was all online. They weren't even on the mailing list for it, and they still were good sports. So at the next council, we'll be making a motion to finally bestow upon them an important rite of passage in NSOC Council, which is the council nickname. So start thinking about ideas to bring to our very last council and make him good.
Thank you very much, Director Wright. We will just give her another 2 or 3 seconds, and if not, any further statements and questions by a member? Thank you, Anonymous Ferret. Seeing no further questions or statements by members, I will now entertain a motion to close council.
Motion to close council.
Second.
Seconded.
That one's going to be a motion to close council from President Julia Takamoto, seconded by President Ali Bakit. And you may now vote. Oh, we don't have enough. Just kidding.
You
Motion
and I are both
passes.
voting members, Andrew.
Just kidding. Motion passes.
Okay.
Want to thank you all for coming out to our online annual general meeting. Know that there have been some scaries in Kingston recently, but hope that you and your loved ones are all absolutely safe and well and looking out for yourselves, and that you all have a lovely evening and St. Patrick's Day. So thank you very much, and lots of love to you all.
Bye, everyone.